Welcome everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce Supriya Padmanabhan. Supriya has had a career spanning over 30 years. She's now the CEO of 𝗵𝗲. 𝗵𝗲 works with leaders from all sectors, and 𝗵𝗲 has also won an award recently. Congratulations, Supriya.
Thank you.
Supriya has a very unique perspective on the human psyche, and I'm super excited to interview her because of that. She has got Buddhist psychology. She's done that. She's done nonviolent communication. She's been a parent coach. She's also an ICF certified coach. And Supriya's worked in advertising for 20 years. So she's done it all in different sectors. So that's Supriya in a nutshell because of our time limit. I have known Supriya for around 15 years. We've been acquainted. And two things have always stood out for me about Supriya. One is how she's able to take all of this knowledge from different aspects of whatever she's learned, and she kind of clears out the jargon and is able to give it to you in a very usable and applicable way. And the second thing that I have experienced, and I think people who have known Supriya will say, is that she's extremely generous with her wisdom and knowledge. So can't wait to dive right in and speak to her. So today our topic is inner dialogue. Supriya, inner dialogue is now almost become like a buzzword with inner critic and inner voices. Would love to hear what your understanding and perspective is on the nuances, on how it presents itself in our daily lives.
Thanks, Rama. Thanks for the fabulous introduction. And thanks to Regal for inviting me today. So inner dialogue is an old favorite topic with me. I've been discussing it for years. And it really stems from the fact that our mind is a library of experiences and beliefs and emotions, right? And it's a library that we've been adding to every minute of every day from before we were born. And these experiences and these feelings are very interconnected, right? And at any given point of time, there's not a dialogue, there's a monologue going on, right? The library is feeding us, and we are responding to the world around us by accessing this library of experiences and emotions and feelings. What is ideal is for us to tune in, because right now we're obedient servants, right? To what this library says. And it's really important for us to tune in and make it a dialogue. So an emotion is evoked because of an experience. I need to figure out which emotion was evoked by which experience and which belief. And is it working for me now, and is it not? And so we need to actually change an inner monologue to an inner dialogue. And so that's where this comes from, right? It's just about being attentive to the conversation that's going on in our minds, which is constant. It's 24/7. So that's what this inner dialogue is all about.
Yes, I think I can say yes to that. And everyone here will also do the same. So now we know we have this inner dialogue, and you say,
right.
What does this process of making it from a monologue to a dialogue look like?
So I think the first thing is like I said, move from a listening mode to an attentive mode, and really question your responses, right? What we need to do, which we don't do, which we haven't been taught to do, is acknowledge our emotions first, right? So what do I mean by that? I have in my library an experience that says I'm too loud. It evokes an emotion of, I feel intrusive sometimes. Or I have in my library, I have something that says I'm too shy. And that evokes an emotion of inadequacy for a leadership role, right? And sometimes it's nothing deep. I wear a blue shirt for every meeting because it makes me feel confident, for every important meeting because it makes me feel confident. So the blue shirt is now evoking an emotion of confidence, right? So the first thing for us to do is really pay attention to what are you making yourself feel? What is the emotion you are evoking for yourself? We really pay attention to how others make us feel. We worry about how others make us feel. We put a huge amount of importance and stress on what others do and how others make us feel and what could they be thinking about us, etc. Right? Slowly we're evolving, and we hope more and more people are evolving to thinking about how they leave others feeling, to thinking more and more about how they leave others feeling. But we very rarely think about how we make ourselves feel. And the connections we have made between an experience and an emotion is something that we first need to acknowledge and recognize. Okay, I'm feeling jealous. I need to first acknowledge my emotion. Then I need to figure out what's the trigger to that emotion. I'm feeling jealous because somebody got a better car than me, or somebody got more money than me, um, right? Or somebody got a promotion before me. And then I have to sit and think about whether the trigger is valid in my life or not. So that's step number one in this shift, right? That you're talking about is acknowledge the emotion that is being evoked. Then B, figure out what's the trigger or what's the folder in this library which this emotion is connecting to an experience. And then you come to saying, okay, is this valid for me anymore? And then there's a whole shift process, right? So um, that's step number 3. So do you want me to go there now?
Why not? We're here for only a short while, and
Okay.
and you spoke about beliefs, acknowledging. Uh, so just to kind of, if you could run it with a complete example. So for somebody who's here, who wants to try this for themselves, it's a new year, and it would be a great time. We're setting goals. So how does one go about this?
Okay. So let's say, let's take something as simple as the blue shirt, right? I wear a blue shirt every time I have an important meeting because blue shirt is lucky for me. Blue is my lucky color. Now, what's happened is it's become such a truth for me that the days I'm not wearing blue and something was wrong, I connect it to the fact that I didn't wear blue, right? Now, this blue shirt is evoking a feeling of confidence to a point where I am unable to function without that blue shirt for important discussions and sessions. So, and when I say acknowledge your emotions, it's not only a negative emotion, it's a positive emotion also, right? And why would I kind of review it or, be attentive to it? Because sometimes it's not working for me anymore. I'm not in that blue shirt when a senior leader approaches me sometimes. Or I'm not in a blue shirt when somebody from the CXO addresses me, right? Or I have to do a public speech. So now this not wearing the blue shirt is coming in my way. It's actually causing a problem. So that's when I review it. Now I can't say it's okay not to wear a blue shirt because you can't counter a very strong belief, right? Or a folder in your library. You have to choose another folder to operate from. And it can't be in the future tense, right? I will be confident some other way. There's no future. There is an I am. So you have to choose a truth, something that is true to you, which exists in your library. I have 25 years of experience in handling clients, and that gives me extra confidence. That also gives me extra confidence. You can add. And slowly they also will be removed, right? So you can't counter the blue shirt and say it's not okay. It's okay not to wear a blue shirt. So the same way you've got, I'm too shy. I don't have what it takes to be a networker and a leader, right? Now, I can't counter the I'm too shy because I've been told all my life I'm shy. I can try and reduce the two. I'm too shy to just I am shy. But I can't counter it and say, oh, actually, I'm quite an extrovert. My unconscious mind won't accept it. What I can do is choose another belief which is true to me, which I'm happy to operate from, which helps me in that leadership networking. For example, I build deep connections, one-on-one. And now I start operating from that to, build my network, to manage my leadership needs, whatever, etc., etc. So just going back, step one is pay attention, right? Listen and acknowledge the feelings that are being evoked. Then try and understand the triggers or the connections of those emotions. And then think about whether it's working for you or not working for you. And then choose another belief or truth for yourself, which you can operate from to deliver results. Don't try and fix this or change this quite. So it then becomes a dialogue, not a monologue where we're just listening and blindly obeying and reacting. So that's really what it's about.
I really want to take a moment here to pause and, it's wow that because we are living in a time where social media is just bombarding us with saying, I am a reader, I am a runner, and I am. So I really love this idea that, we pick something that's within our belief system, which still is within our comfort zone, so that we can shift it. So, as one is doing this, again, and since we're in the beginning of the year, I'm going to take on people have their resolutions and they're trying to, be somebody that they're aspiring to be, which is great. And we know how resolutions go per se, right? And what beliefs are working. So, where one aspect is you said choose a belief that feels true to you and not right the opposite. What else can listeners here do uh, within the inner dialogue, especially when you're going to hit that resistance?
So I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek's Golden Circle, right? And I believe in atomic habits also. There is a similarity to the process, which is especially now, beginning of the year, like everyone's got these new habits they're going to form, and everybody gym memberships are up in January, and yoga classes and everything else is happening, right? And everybody's now we've got these diaries. I know I bought one last year, 90 days, write down your goals every day and do stuff like that. I've realized that if you in Simon Sinek's Golden Circle, there is a what to do, there is a how to do it, and the inner circle is a why, right? And unless you've cracked the why, you're not going to be able to shift the belief system and change the inner dialogue, which is the how part, to do the what. So, to give you an example, standard New Year resolution, I'm going to lose weight, right? I'm going to walk every morning. It's a what. What am I going to do? I'm going to walk every morning. But the question is, okay, how am I going to get myself to walk every morning? I'm going to set an alarm. I'm going to get a buddy. I'm going to do multiple things, right? But the question is, why do you want to walk every morning? It's more than lose weight. Why do you want to lose? So you have to keep asking yourself the why. Why do you want to lose weight? Because I want to get fitter. Why do you want to get fitter? Because I want to look good. Why do you want to look good? because I want to be lively. Why do you want to be lively? Because I want to stay independent. Okay, now I can concentrate on independence, not on losing weight. Now that's a belief that I can operate from. Being independent is what I'm going to work for and from, right? And then I will do multiple things to stay independent. I will get fit. I will also learn to handle my finances. I will also, learn to do other things which I need to do. Build a team, learn to cook, whatever it is, to stay independent. So now I'm concentrating on staying independent. I've shifted my focus to ways to stay independent. And I'll take out a bigger medical policy, whatever, insurance policy, whatever I need to do, right? But you concentrate on the independence, not on this waking up every morning. So the result is A, you don't punish yourself when you don't wake up every morning to go for a walk, and B, that it becomes more and more natural to you to do the walk because it's part of a larger picture. So the inner dialogue has now changed from a what to a why, and that is really a really important part to this whole thing. The last thing I want to say, recently I saw an Instagram reel where, and this is very important for us, those of us who are in the coaching profession, right? Somebody said she doesn't look at what people are fighting about, she looks at what they're fighting for, right? So I'm not fighting with you about you not doing your work on time. I'm fighting for my success or my image as somebody who's successful. And if I'm able to get that about somebody else, fabulous. But if I get that about me, myself, then it makes my life clearer, right? It changes my dialogue. So then I'm not fighting just to lose weight. I'm fighting for independence, to stay independent so that nobody needs to look after me. And then that the inner dialogue becomes far more meaningful, believable, and then I don't need to look for ways of motivating myself to make the shift. And as a coach, if we can help people do that, figure out what they're fighting for, not the about, then it becomes a lot clearer.
Interesting. Those were 𝗧𝗵𝗲 words actually on her.
Yeah. So I was just watching the reel recently and I saw that. I'm very bad at names, so I don't remember.
So one of the things with the inner dialogue, now that we have the why, Supriya, and people are able to can work through that, right, and get it. I want to come back to our inner dialogue, which we were talking about, and one of the things is it's a constant, right? The monologue is a constant.
Right.
The dialogue happens very rarely. So what are the ways that one can use to engage in differently with themselves? Because it is so subconscious, it is so it's so continuous.
So, I have found there are a million ways, and no one way works for everybody, right? There are people who swear by journaling. Journaling every day helps them get clarity on what they were feeling. Then they are able to get into the why of what triggered them and how they're feeling. And when they start seeing patterns through the journaling, it helps them. There are others who believe in having conversations with one person, right? And that helps them. Everybody has one friend or somebody, mentor, who they can have these conversations with. And that person, a coach, somebody with a coaching bent of mind, asks the valid questions that make you reflect and get clarity for yourself. There are some who let it build up till it crashes, and then you sit down and spend that time and think about it, because it's tiring, it's emotional to do it every day all the time. Right? It's far easier to be obedient than to be attentive and questioning, right? So that inner dialogue, it's sometimes very difficult, and it makes you face some hard truths about yourself and your beliefs, right? There are people who feel meditation helps them. I find reading helps me, yeah, because I see the pattern or the emotion in print, and I'm able to accept it more when I see somebody else. I read about somebody else experiencing it, right? And I'm talking non-fiction. I mean, fiction. I'm not even talking non-fiction. But for me, reading books, watching movies helps me to connect with an emotion and say, yeah, that's what I was feeling. And oh, I didn't realize that could be a trigger, right? So there's just, so many different ways of doing this. And I feel, and it's not like the same way works for you all the time,
Right.
right? We all go through phases when this style works for me versus another style. I find, and nowadays you get a lot of these interesting questions, which make you just think about stuff which you wouldn't have normally thought about. There's a ton of stuff right now on how to do a visioning board for 2025, right?
Right.
But forget whether you're doing a visioning board or not, those questions are interesting. And they make you sit and think about what really matters to you, what gets evoked for you. So those are the kind of things that you need. You need to find your way of understanding that inner dialogue. And when you're really uncomfortable with your life, you just have to sit down, shut down, and ask yourself those questions. The rest of the time, it's like work in progress. It happens with conversations, and but these are questions that one has to keep asking oneself to make it a dialogue.
Thank you for that, Supriya. I'm also
Thank you.
cognizant of the time. So I think we
Okay.
will have to wrap here. Lots of nuggets on beliefs, on how to have the inner dialogue, where we get stuck, and how to unstuck ourselves also. So thank you so much. It was
Thank
lovely
you,
to.
Rama.
And folks, we're going to close. Any questions, do put it on the comments, and maybe later at some point, Supriya could address it whenever she's able to. Thank you.
Thanks,
And
Rama. Good night.
good night. Bye bye.